He moved into an abandoned farm, but there are 4 sexy girls there. Ethan stood on the side of the old road and stared at the farmhouse ahead of him. It looked like something from a forgotten story. The paint was faded, the windows were cracked, and the porch boards were warped and uneven. The grass around the house was tall and wild, as if it had not been touched in years. A few trees leaned over the yard, their branches casting strange shadows on the ground. It all felt quiet in a way that was too quiet, like the whole place was holding its breath. Ethan had not planned to end up here. Just a few weeks ago, he was living in a small apartment in the city. He had a job he didn't like, but it paid the bills. He had friends he saw sometimes. He even had a girl he was dating, but everything had changed quickly. First, he lost his job when the company decided to cut staff. Then, the girl he was seeing broke up with him because she said he had no future. Ethan tried to stay strong, but the truth was he felt lost. He felt like he had failed. After that, he began thinking about what he really wanted in life. The city felt loud and crowded. He didn't want to live in a place where everyone was always rushing and never really talking to each other. He wanted something different, something calm, something real. That was when he saw the listing for the abandoned farm. It was almost a joke at first. A farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, listed for a price so low it seemed impossible. The ad said the house had been empty for years. It said the land was overgrown and the roof needed repair. It also said the place was a perfect chance for a fresh start. Ethan didn't believe in luck, but he believed in chances. So he sold what little he owned, packed a few bags, and drove for hours until he reached this quiet road. He had no real plan, no real idea what he would do once he got here. He only knew he needed a change. The moment he stepped out of his car, the air felt different. It was cooler and fresher than the city air. He could hear birds in the distance and the soft sound of wind moving through the tall grass. The silence felt heavy, but not scary. It felt like a blank page waiting to be written on. Ethan walked up to the porch and pushed the door. It didn't open at first. He had to pull harder, and the wood creaked loudly like it was warning him. The door finally gave way, and he stepped inside. The house smelled like old wood and dust. Sunlight came through the broken windows, lighting up floating dust particles like tiny stars. Ethan walked slowly through the rooms. The furniture was gone, but the marks on the floor showed where tables and chairs had once been. There were old nails in the walls and a few broken pieces of glass scattered on the floor. The house looked empty, but it didn't feel abandoned. It felt like someone had left in a hurry and planned to come back. Ethan moved to the kitchen and opened a cabinet. It was empty. He opened the refrigerator. It was empty too. He felt a strange mix of relief and fear. He had hoped no one was here, but now he realized how alone he really was. He walked outside again and looked at the land. The field behind the house was huge. Tall grass waved in the wind like a green ocean. A broken fence ran along the edge of the property. Beyond it, there were more fields and a line of trees far in the distance. Ethan imagined planting vegetables, building a small garden, and waking up to the sound of birds every morning. He imagined a simple life, a life that felt real. He set his bags down and started unloading his few belongings. He had brought a small tent, some basic tools, and a few boxes of food. He also had a lantern and some blankets. It was not much, but it was enough to get him started. He wanted to make the house livable even if it took time. As he worked, he kept thinking about how strange it was that the farm was so cheap. Why would anyone leave a place like this? Why would no one buy it? He tried to shake the thoughts away. He told himself the house was just old and needed work. That was all. He spent the first day cleaning and checking the house. He fixed a loose board on the porch. He cleared some of the broken glass. He opened the windows and let fresh air flow inside. By the time evening came, he had a small area set up with his sleeping bag and a few boxes. It wasn't much, but it felt like the beginning of something. He lit the lantern and sat on the floor, staring at the walls. The house looked different at night. Shadows moved in strange ways, and the silence seemed louder. Ethan tried to calm himself. He reminded himself that he was here by choice. He had chosen this quiet life. He ate a simple dinner of canned soup and bread. The food tasted strange in the silence. He missed the city noise, even though he had been tired of it. He missed the feeling of being surrounded by people. He missed the idea that if he needed help, someone would be nearby. After dinner, he stood up and walked to the window. The moon was bright, and the field outside looked like it was covered in silver. The wind made the grass sway gently. Everything looked peaceful. Then, from somewhere outside, he heard a sound. It was faint at first, a soft laugh, like someone whispering to themselves. Ethan froze, his heart beat faster. He stood very still and listened. The laugh came again, a little louder. It sounded like a human voice. Ethan looked around the room, suddenly aware of how empty it was. He told himself it was just the wind, maybe a bird, maybe his mind playing tricks on him. He tried to laugh softly to himself, but the laugh died in his throat. He walked to the door and opened it. The air was cold, and the night felt even quieter than before. Ethan stepped onto the porch and looked around. The field was dark, but the moonlight made it possible to see shapes and shadows. He listened again. The laughter was gone. For a moment, everything was silent again. Then he heard it, voices far away coming from the direction of the barn. The voices were soft, like people talking quietly. He couldn't make out words, but he could hear the sound of people. Ethan's first thought was that someone was living here, but that didn't make sense. The farm was supposed to be abandoned. He had seen the listing. He had read the description. No one was supposed to be here. He walked toward the barn, careful not to make noise. The path was overgrown and the grass reached his knees. The barn was old and worn down, but it looked stronger than the house. It was a large structure with a wide door that was slightly open. Ethan approached slowly. He could hear the voices more clearly now. They sounded like laughter mixed with talking. He could also hear the sound of movement, like someone shifting around or moving objects. His heart pounded. He felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. He wanted to turn back and pretend he hadn't heard anything, but he also wanted to know what was happening. He stood near the barn door and peered inside. The darkness was thick, but the moonlight made a small area visible. He saw a few shapes, people, 4 people sitting together, talking and laughing. He couldn't see their faces clearly, but he could tell they were young women. Their hair moved as they laughed. Their bodies leaned close to each other as if they were sharing a secret. Ethan stepped back quickly. He felt embarrassed and shocked. He hadn't expected anyone to be here. He hadn't expected to see people at all. He tried to think of what to do. He could leave. He could drive away and find somewhere else. That would be the safest option, but something inside him stopped him. He didn't want to run. He didn't want to give up on his chance for a fresh start. He also felt curious. Who were they? Why were they here? And why did they sound so comfortable, like this was their home? He stood still for a moment, listening. The women's voices continued, but now they sounded more relaxed. They were not scared. They were not whispering. They were simply talking like friends. Ethan made a decision. He would not go inside the barn yet. He would go back to the house and think. He would wait until morning when the light was better and he could see clearly. Maybe then he could find a way to talk to them. He walked back to the house, feeling the cold air on his face. His mind was racing. He kept thinking about the women. He kept thinking about how strange it was that they were here. He kept thinking about the possibility that they might be dangerous. But he also kept thinking about how they sounded like they belonged here. Like this place was not abandoned at all. Back inside, he sat down on the floor again and tried to calm his thoughts. He told himself to focus on what he knew. He knew he had a place to sleep. He knew he had a chance to start over. He knew he was not alone in the world, even if he felt lonely. He tried to sleep, but the thoughts kept coming. He imagined the women waking up and seeing him. He imagined them being angry. He imagined them running away. He imagined them asking him why he was there. The night felt long. When the first light of morning appeared, Ethan woke up before the sun was fully up. He sat in the quiet room and listened. The house felt different in the light. The shadows were gone. The dust looked less magical and more real. He felt nervous, but he also felt ready. He stood up, took a deep breath, and walked outside. The field looked calm in the morning light. The air was fresh, and the wind moved the grass gently. Ethan walked toward the barn again, this time with more courage. He told himself that he would speak calmly and respectfully. He would not scare them. He would not make sudden movements. He would try to understand. He reached the barn door and stopped. He could hear voices again. This time they were not laughing. They were talking quietly, like they were planning something. Ethan took one more breath and pushed the door open. The inside of the barn was dusty, but sunlight streamed through cracks in the wood. The air smelled of hay and old wood. Ethan could see the 4 women clearly now. They looked up when he entered. Their eyes widened slightly, but they did not scream or run. They just stared. Ethan felt his throat dry. He swallowed and spoke carefully. "Hello," he said. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I moved into the farmhouse. I didn't know anyone was here." The women exchanged looks. One of them stepped forward slowly. She looked older than the others, maybe in her mid-20s. Her hair was tied back and she had a calm expression. She looked at Ethan like she was trying to decide if he was a threat. After a moment she spoke. "You're the new guy," she said. Her voice was soft but firm. "We heard you last night." Ethan nodded, feeling embarrassed. "Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't know anyone was here." The woman studied him for a moment longer. Then she nodded once, as if accepting his answer. "We've been here for a while," she said. "We don't cause trouble, we just need a place to stay." Ethan felt his heart slow down. He wasn't sure why, but her words made him feel a little better. He had expected anger or fear or something worse. But she sounded calm. He looked at the other women. They watched him carefully, but their faces showed curiosity more than fear. Ethan realized that none of them looked like they were here to harm anyone. They looked like they were trying to survive. Ethan took another breath. "I don't want to cause trouble," he said. "I just want to live here. I want to fix the house and start over. If you want, I can help you too. We can share the place." The women looked at each other. The woman who had spoken before hesitated. Then she nodded again, slowly. "We'll talk," she said, "but not here. Meet us at the house tonight." Ethan felt a strange mix of relief and fear. He didn't know what to expect, but he knew this was the start of something he could not ignore. He left the barn and walked back to the farmhouse. He felt the weight of the day on his shoulders. He had moved into an abandoned farm, and now he had discovered 4 women living there. He had no idea what would happen next. But he knew one thing for sure. His life was about to change in a way he could never have imagined. Ethan spent the whole day working on the farmhouse, but he could not stop thinking about the 4 women in the barn. Every time he looked at the windows or listened to the wind, he wondered what their lives were like. He kept remembering the way they looked at him, like they were trying to decide if he was safe. He also kept thinking about the promise he made to himself. He had come here to start over. He had promised himself he would not run away from problems anymore. Now he was facing a problem that he could not ignore. He worked hard all day. He repaired the broken boards on the porch. He cleaned the floor of the main room. He even cleared a small area outside where he could grow a garden. He felt proud of what he had done. For the first time in weeks, he felt useful. He felt like he was building something real. But as the sun began to set, his nervousness returned. He kept checking the time, trying to prepare himself for the meeting. He had no idea what the women wanted to talk about. He only knew that they had asked him to meet them at the house. He decided to clean the house more so it would look nice. He moved some boxes and swept the floor. He lit the lantern and tried to make the place feel warm. He didn't know if that would help, but he hoped it would. When the sky turned orange and the shadows grew long, he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. He stood near the doorway, heart beating fast. The door opened slowly, and the 4 women stepped inside together. They moved carefully, as if they were not used to strangers. Ethan looked at them closely. They were different from each other. One had long, dark hair and a shy smile. Another had short, blonde hair and a strong, confident look. The third had curly hair and bright eyes. The fourth had straight hair tied in a ponytail, and she looked quiet but alert. They all looked tired, but they also looked strong. Like they had been through a lot and had learned to keep going. The woman who spoke to him yesterday stepped forward again. She looked at Ethan with a serious face. "My name is Maya," she said. "These are my friends. We live here. We've been here for months." Ethan nodded slowly. "I'm Ethan," he said. "I'm sorry for coming in like that. I didn't know anyone was here." Maya studied him for a moment. Then she said, "We know. We heard you last night. We were not scared. We just needed to be sure you were not dangerous." Ethan felt a small wave of relief. "I'm not dangerous," he said. "I just want to live here. I want to fix the house and start over." Maya looked at him carefully. Then she asked, "Why did you come here? Why did you choose this place?" Ethan took a deep breath. He wasn't used to talking about his feelings. But he felt like he owed them the truth. He wanted them to understand him. "I lost my job," he said, "and my girlfriend broke up with me. I was tired of the city. I needed a new life. I wanted to be somewhere quiet. I thought this place would be a fresh start." Maya nodded slowly. "We understand," she said. "We all had reasons to leave. This place is quiet. It is safe. That is why we stayed." Ethan felt a strange connection to them. He realized they were not just random people. They were people who also needed a new start. They were people who had chosen this place for the same reason he did. He felt a little less alone. The women sat down on the floor in a circle. Maya looked at Ethan again and said, "We need to talk about rules." Ethan nodded. "Rules?" Maya nodded. "Yes, we live together." We share this place. We have rules so we don't fight. We need to know if you can follow them. Ethan felt nervous. Rules sounded serious. But he also understood why they needed them. If they were living together in a place like this, they needed order and trust. Maya continued, "First, you must respect our space. Second, you must not bring strangers here without telling us. Third, you must help with the work. And fourth, you must be honest with us." Ethan listened carefully. He wanted to say yes to everything, but he also wanted to make sure he understood. "I agree," he said. "I will follow the rules." The women looked at each other again. Maya seemed to decide something. She nodded once. "Okay," she said. "Then you can stay. But you must understand that we are not here for fun. We are here because we need a place to live." Ethan nodded. "I understand." The women looked at him with new eyes. It was as if they were starting to trust him. Maya stood up and walked to the window. She looked outside for a moment and then turned back to Ethan. "We need to talk about why we are here," she said. "But not all at once. You need to earn our trust." Ethan felt his stomach tighten. He had expected them to tell him their story right away, but he understood. Trust was something that had to be earned. He respected that. He sat down with them and listened as they talked about their daily life. They told him they had been living in the barn because it was safer than living in the house. They had repaired parts of it themselves. They had found old tools and used them to make the place livable. They had collected water from a nearby stream and used it for cooking and cleaning. They had planted a small garden behind the barn. Ethan was amazed. He had not expected them to be so capable. He had imagined they might be scared and helpless, but they were not. They were strong and independent. They had created a life here, even though it was difficult. The women did not tell Ethan their full story yet, but they gave him small pieces. Maya said she had left her town because she felt trapped. She said she wanted freedom. She said she had always dreamed of living somewhere quiet. The blonde woman who introduced herself as Lily said she was saving money for school. The curly-haired woman, Nina, said she had been traveling and needed a place to rest. The ponytailed woman, Sarah, said she was helping her younger brother who lived far away. Ethan listened quietly. He could feel his respect for them growing. He realized they were not just four girls. They were four individuals with dreams, fears, and responsibilities. They had chosen to live together because they trusted each other. They had built something from nothing. As the night went on, Ethan and the women talked about small things. They talked about food, about the weather, about the city, and about the quiet life. Ethan felt his nervousness slowly disappear. He began to feel comfortable around them. He even smiled a few times. But then Maya asked a question that made Ethan stop smiling. "Why did you choose to live in the house?" she asked. "Why not stay in the barn like us?" Ethan paused. He thought about the question carefully. He wanted to answer honestly. "I want the house," he said. "I want to fix it. I want to make it my home. The barn is okay, but it is not a home. It is not a place where I can feel comfortable." Maya looked at him for a long moment. "We feel the same way," she said softly, "but the house is not safe for us. It is too open. Anyone can see inside. We need a place where we can stay hidden." Ethan understood. He realized that the women had been hiding for a reason. They were not just living here for fun. They were living here because they had no other place to go. He felt a sudden wave of sadness. He had come here to escape his own problems, but now he was learning that these women had much bigger problems. He felt a responsibility growing inside him. He wanted to help them. He wanted to protect them. But he also knew he needed to be careful. He did not want to make them feel like they were in danger because of him. He did not want to ruin the trust he was building. The night grew late. The women stood up and gathered their things. They looked at Ethan one by one as if they were saying goodbye for now. Maya spoke last. "You can stay," she said, "but you must prove you are trustworthy. Tomorrow you will help us with the farm. We will work together. If you do well, we will talk more." Ethan nodded. "I will do my best," he said. The women left the house quietly, moving back toward the barn. Ethan watched them go. He felt a strange feeling in his chest. It was a mix of hope and fear. He was hopeful because he felt like he had found a new group of friends. He was afraid because he realized his life had become more complicated. After they left, Ethan sat alone in the house. He thought about the rules. He thought about the women's stories. He thought about his own life and how it had changed so quickly. He realized that this farm was not just a place to live. It was a place where people came when they needed to start over. It was a place where people came when they had nowhere else to go. Ethan felt a new determination inside him. He decided he would work hard. He decided he would prove he was trustworthy. He decided he would help these women, even if it meant facing new challenges. The next morning, Ethan woke up early. He felt the sun on his face and the cool air on his skin. He packed a small bag with water and tools and walked toward the barn. The women were already outside, working on the garden. They looked up when Ethan approached. Their faces were serious, but they nodded at him as if to say, "We are watching you." Ethan joined them and began working. He helped pull weeds, carried water, and repaired a small fence. The work was hard, but he did not mind. He felt like he was finally doing something meaningful. As the day went on, Ethan began to feel like he belonged. The women talked to him more. They laughed at small jokes. They shared stories about their lives. Ethan felt like he was becoming part of their group, but he also knew that the real test was still ahead. He knew that they would soon share more of their story. He knew that he would have to decide whether he could handle it. He knew that his life would never be the same again. And as the sun set once more, Ethan felt both scared and excited. He had come to this farm for a fresh start, but he had found something he did not expect. He had found a family. The days passed quickly at the farm. The routine became real. Ethan woke up early, ate a simple breakfast, and joined the women in the barn area. Every morning they worked together, and every evening they gathered in the house to talk. Ethan started to feel like this place was becoming his home. But he also knew that something was still not right. The women were careful with their words. They smiled, but their eyes often looked tired. They seemed happy in a small way, but the happiness was not complete. Ethan could tell they were hiding something. He wanted to ask, but he did not want to push them. He wanted them to trust him naturally. One morning, after they finished working in the garden, Maya asked Ethan to stay behind. The other women left to fetch water from the stream. Maya walked him toward the back of the barn. She looked around to make sure no one was watching, then she spoke quietly. "We need to talk," she said. Ethan nodded, feeling his heart beat faster. He had been waiting for this moment. He was ready to hear more. He wanted to know why they were hiding. Maya took a deep breath. "We are not just living here because we like the quiet," she said. "We are living here because we had to leave our old lives. We had no place to go." Ethan listened carefully. He felt a strong sense of respect for her honesty. "I understand," he said. "But can you tell me more? Why did you leave?" Maya looked at him for a moment. Then she began to tell him a story. She did not start with the most difficult parts. She started with small details, like the way the town looked, the sound of the trains, and the smell of the bakery near her old home. She spoke slowly, like she was remembering something she had tried to forget. "My family lived in a small town," she said. "I grew up there. It was a good place, but it was small. People knew everyone. I felt like I was always watched. I wanted freedom. I wanted to live my own life." Ethan nodded. "So you left," he said. Maya smiled sadly. "Yes," she said. "I left, but leaving was not easy. I had to keep my life secret. I had to hide. I had to make sure no one followed me." Ethan felt a chill. "Why?" he asked. Maya looked away for a moment. "Because some people did not like the choices I made," she said softly. "They wanted to control me. They wanted to decide what I could do. I did not want that anymore. I wanted to be free." Ethan felt his heart ache. He could understand that feeling. He had also felt trapped in his own life. He had felt like he had no control. But he had never imagined someone would be forced to hide because of it. Maya continued. "I met the other girls on my journey. We found each other. We decided to stay together because it felt safe. We share everything. We protect each other." Ethan looked at her. He could see the pain in her eyes, but also the strength. She was not a victim. She was a survivor. Maya's voice became softer. "We chose this farm because it was quiet. It was far from the towns. No one would look for us here. We thought we could live in peace." Ethan nodded slowly. He felt a deep respect for her. He also felt a new sense of responsibility. He realized that if he stayed here, he would not only be living with them, he would be part of their lives. He would be part of their story. Maya looked at him again. "We need to know if you can keep our secret," she said. "We need to know if you can be trusted." Ethan felt his face warm. He wanted to say yes, but he wanted to mean it. He wanted to show her he could be trusted. "I will keep your secret," he said firmly. "I promise." Maya nodded. She looked relieved, but also cautious. "Good," she said, "but there is more." Ethan waited. He could feel his heart beating faster. He was ready to hear whatever came next. Maya took a deep breath and continued. "We have a plan," she said. "We want to build a real home here. We want to fix the house and live in it. We want to make a life, but we need help." Ethan felt a sudden hope. "I can help," he said. I can help with the house, I can help with the farm, I can do anything you need. Maya looked at him thoughtfully. We will need more than help, she said. We will need courage, we will need to face the past. Ethan's mind raced. He didn't know what she meant. He asked, what past? Maya's eyes grew serious. Our pasts, she said. The things we left behind. The people we ran from, the memories we tried to forget. Ethan felt a knot in his stomach. He realized that the story was deeper than he had imagined. He realized that the farm was not just a place to live. It was a place to hide from pain. Maya's voice softened again. We don't talk about it often, she said, but we need to talk about it now. We need to plan. We need to be ready. Ethan nodded. I understand, he said. We can talk. We can plan. Maya looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, tomorrow we will share more. But for now, go back to the house. Rest. You will need your strength. Ethan nodded. He left the barn and walked back to the house. His mind was full of thoughts. He felt both scared and determined. He knew that the next days would be difficult. He knew that he would have to face things he had never faced before, but he also knew that he was not alone anymore. That night, Ethan tried to sleep, but his mind kept thinking about what Maya said. He thought about the past. He thought about the people who had hurt the women. He thought about how strong they must be to keep going. He thought about how much courage it took to leave everything behind and start over. He also thought about his own life. He realized that he had been running from his problems too. He had been avoiding responsibility. He had been waiting for someone to save him. But now he realized that he needed to be the one to save himself. He needed to be strong. He needed to be brave. The next morning, Ethan woke up earlier than usual. He felt the sun on his face. He felt the fresh air in his lungs. He felt ready. He walked to the barn and saw the women already working. They looked focused. They were moving with purpose. Ethan felt a sense of pride. He wanted to be part of their strength. He joined them and worked hard. They repaired the fence, cleaned the garden, and carried water. The work was difficult, but Ethan did not mind. He felt like he was earning his place. During the break, Maya called him over. She handed him a small notebook. This is for you, she said. We write things down. We plan, we share our thoughts. You can write too. Ethan took the notebook carefully. He looked at it. It was simple, but it felt important. He realized that this notebook was not just for planning. It was a symbol of trust. It was a way for them to communicate and support each other. He opened it and wrote a simple sentence. I want to help. Maya smiled. Good, she said. We will need your help, but you must also remember something. Ethan looked up. What? He asked. Maya's voice became gentle. You must remember that you are not alone, she said. We are here with you. We will support each other. We will build a life together. Ethan felt his eyes become wet. He did not want to show weakness, but he could not help it. He felt a warmth in his heart. He felt like he finally belonged somewhere. The day continued. They worked, they laughed, and they shared small moments. Ethan felt his fear slowly disappear. He felt like he was becoming part of a new family, but the thought of the past still remained. He knew that soon they would have to face it. He knew that soon they would have to make decisions. He knew that the farm was not just a place to hide. It was a place to heal. As the sun set, the women gathered in the house again. They sat around the small table and shared a simple meal. Ethan listened to their conversation. He felt like he was learning more about them every day. Then Maya spoke again. Tomorrow, she said, we will talk more about our pasts. We will share our stories. We will decide how to move forward. Ethan nodded. He felt a mixture of fear and hope. He was afraid of what he might hear. He was afraid of how the women might feel. But he was also hopeful. He knew that sharing their stories would bring them closer. He knew that it would help them heal. Ethan looked around the room. The women were quiet, but their eyes showed trust. He realized that he was not just living on an abandoned farm anymore. He was living in a place full of real people with real lives. He felt a deep sense of responsibility. He knew that he had to be strong. He knew that he had to be honest. He knew that he had to support them no matter what. And as the night grew darker, Ethan made a promise to himself. He promised that he would not run away from this life. He promised that he would stay and help. He promised that he would be the kind of person the women could trust. He did not know what the future would bring. He did not know what challenges awaited them. But he knew one thing for sure. He was not alone anymore. Ethan woke up early again. The sun was just beginning to rise, and the air felt fresh and calm. He looked out the window and saw the farm in the soft morning light. The house looked a little better each day, and the barn looked stronger too. He felt proud of what they had done together. But he also felt nervous. Today was the day the women said they would share more of their past. Ethan did not know what to expect. He hoped they would not be too sad or too emotional. He wanted to help, but he was not sure if he could handle everything. He got dressed and walked to the barn. The women were already there, working. They greeted him with small smiles, but their faces looked serious. Ethan could feel the tension in the air. It was not a bad tension, but it was the kind that comes before something important. Maya called him over. She held the notebook in her hand. "Today," she said, "we will talk, we will share our stories." Ethan nodded. "I'm ready," he said, though he did not feel fully ready. The women gathered in the barn. They sat in a circle, and Ethan sat with them. The barn felt warm and quiet. The sunlight came through the cracks in the wood, making patterns on the floor. Ethan felt like he was in a safe place. He took a deep breath. Maya began. She looked at Ethan and said, "I will start." Ethan listened carefully. Maya spoke slowly, like she was choosing her words. "I grew up in a small town," she said. "My family had expectations for me. They wanted me to live a certain way. They wanted me to follow their rules. I tried, but I felt trapped. I wanted to study, to travel, to make my own decisions, but they did not understand." Ethan nodded. He could understand the feeling of being trapped by expectations. He had felt it in his own life. Maya continued. "I left home when I was 19. I thought I could start a new life, but it was not easy. I did not have money. I did not have support. I had to find ways to survive. I met people who helped me, but some of them wanted something in return. I realized I needed to be careful." Ethan listened, feeling his heart beat faster. He felt the weight of her story. He felt how difficult it must have been for her. Maya's voice softened. "I found the others," she said. "We found each other and decided to stick together. We helped each other. We became a family." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He felt proud of her strength. He also felt sad for the hard things she had experienced. Then Maya looked at Lily. "Your turn," she said. Lily took a deep breath. She looked at Ethan and said, "I grew up in a city. My family was not poor, but we were not rich either. My parents worked hard. They wanted me to go to a good school. They wanted me to have a stable life." Ethan nodded. He could imagine the pressure. Lily continued, "I was a good student. I worked hard, but I also had dreams. I wanted to study art. I wanted to travel. I wanted to do something different. But my parents said it was not practical. They said I should study something safe. They said I should be realistic." Ethan felt his heart ache. He knew that feeling. He had felt it too. He had been told to be realistic. He had been told to follow a safe path. Lily's voice became quiet. "I felt like I was living someone else's life. I felt like I was trapped. So I left without telling anyone. I thought I could find a new life. But I realized I needed a place to stay. I needed people who would understand me." Ethan listened closely. He felt his respect for her growing. He realized she was brave. She had chosen to follow her dreams even when it was difficult. Then Lily looked at Nina. "Your turn," she said. Nina nodded and began. "I have always loved traveling. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to learn new things, so I left home early. I traveled from city to city. I worked odd jobs. I slept in small rooms and sometimes in parks. It was not easy, but it was exciting." Ethan listened, feeling amazed. Nina sounded like someone who lived with courage and curiosity. She sounded like someone who wanted to experience life fully. Nina continued, "But after a while I felt tired. I realized I needed a place to rest. I needed stability. I wanted a place where I could feel safe. That is how I found this farm. I met Maya and Lily and they welcomed me. I felt like I had finally found a home." Ethan felt a warm feeling inside. He could imagine the freedom of traveling, but he could also understand the desire for a stable life. Finally, Sarah spoke. She looked at Ethan and said, "My story is different. I have a younger brother. He is still in the city. He is studying in school, but he needs support. Our parents passed away and I am his guardian. I needed to make money, but I also needed to keep him safe." Ethan's heart tightened. "So you came here to help him?" he asked. Sarah nodded. "Yes," she said. "I work when I can. I save money. I send it to him. I want him to have a good life. I want him to study and have a future. That is why I stay here. I cannot risk going back to the city. It is not safe for me." Ethan felt his eyes become wet. He could see the strength in her. She was not just living for herself. She was living for someone else. He realized that all four women had different reasons for being here, but they had one thing in common. They had all chosen to be strong. They had all chosen to take control of their lives. They had all chosen to build a new life. Ethan looked at them and felt a deep sense of respect. He felt like he was part of something important. He felt like he was part of a group of people who were brave enough to start over. Maya looked at Ethan and said, "Now you know our stories. Now you know why we are here." Ethan nodded. "Thank you for sharing," he said. "I'm sorry you had to go through all of that." Maya shook her head. "We are not sorry," she said. We are proud of what we have done, we are proud of our strength." Ethan smiled. He felt inspired. He realized that their stories were not sad stories. They were stories of courage. They were stories of people who refused to give up. Then Maya continued, "Now it is your turn." Ethan froze. He had not expected that. He had not expected to share his own story. He felt nervous. He had never been good at talking about his feelings. He had never been good at telling people his story. But he also knew that if he wanted to be part of this family, he needed to be honest. He needed to share his own story. He needed to show them he trusted them. He took a deep breath and began. "I lost my job," he said. "My company closed. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I was also in a relationship, but it ended. I felt like I had failed. I felt like I had no future." He looked at the women. Their eyes were kind. They did not judge him. They listened. "I came here because I wanted a new start," he continued. "I thought I could fix the house and live a simple life. I thought I could forget everything. But then I found you, and I realized I am not alone." Ethan's voice became quiet. "I want to be strong like you," he said. "I want to be someone who can build a life. I want to be someone you can trust." The women looked at him. Maya nodded slowly. "We believe you," she said. "We believe you want to change." Ethan felt a wave of relief. He felt like he had finally found a place where he belonged. Maya smiled and said, "Now we have a new problem." Ethan looked at her. "What problem?" he asked. Maya's expression became serious. "The farm is not as quiet as we thought," she said. "We have been seen." Ethan felt his heart beat faster. "Seen?" he asked. Maya nodded. "Yes," she said. "Someone saw us. Someone may come. We need to prepare." Ethan felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He did not know who might come. He did not know what would happen. But he knew one thing: their lives were not going to be easy. Maya continued, "We need to be ready. We need to protect the farm. We need to protect each other." Ethan nodded. He felt a sense of determination. He realized that the farm was not just a place to hide anymore. It was a place to defend. It was a place to protect. The women stood up and began to organize. They made a plan. They decided to strengthen the doors and windows. They decided to build a simple fence around the property. They decided to be careful about leaving the farm. They decided to watch for anyone who might come. Ethan helped them with the plan. He felt his heart beat faster. He felt like he was part of a team. He felt like he had a purpose. The day ended with a new sense of urgency. The women were not just living here for peace. They were living here to protect their future. They were living here to build a home. As Ethan lay in his sleeping area that night, he thought about what Maya had said. He thought about the fact that someone had seen them. He wondered who it could be. He wondered if it was someone from the city. He wondered if it was someone from the women's past. He did not know. But he knew one thing: their lives were changing. Their quiet life was ending. A new chapter was beginning. Ethan closed his eyes and tried to sleep. He felt scared, but he also felt strong. He felt like he was part of something bigger than himself. He felt like he was part of a family that would not give up. And he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. But he also knew that he was not alone. He had the women by his side. He had a purpose. He had a home. The next morning, the farm felt different. The air was still, but there was a quiet tension that hung over everything. Ethan woke up early and looked outside. The sun was rising and the farm looked peaceful, but he could not shake the feeling that something was about to happen. He got dressed quickly and walked to the barn where the women were already waiting. They looked serious. Their faces showed that they had not slept well. Maya held the notebook in her hand and looked at Ethan. "We need to talk," she said. Ethan nodded. "What happened?" he asked. Maya pointed to the field behind the barn. "We saw footprints," she said. "Someone was here last night." Ethan's heart beat faster. "Footprints," he repeated. "What kind of footprints?" Maya looked at him carefully. "They looked like someone from a car," she said. "We think someone stopped near the fence. They walked around, then they left." Ethan felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He thought about the possibility of someone finding out about them. He thought about the women's past. He thought about how dangerous it could be if the wrong person came. "We need to be careful," Maya said. "We need to prepare. We need to protect the farm." Ethan nodded. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. Maya looked at him. "We need you to help us plan," she said. "We need to set up a way to know if someone is coming. We need to make sure the house is safe." Ethan felt a strong sense of responsibility. He realized that this was not just about living in a quiet place anymore. This was about protecting people he cared about. He walked around the house and the barn with Maya looking for weak spots. They checked the windows, the doors, and the fences. They found places where the wood was weak. They found places where someone could hide. They made a list of things they needed to fix. Then they began working. They strengthened the doors with extra boards. They fixed the broken windows. They repaired the fence. They made sure there were no easy paths for someone to enter the property. The women worked hard. Ethan could see the determination in their faces. They were not scared. They were focused. They were working together like a team. Ethan felt proud of them. He felt proud to be part of this group. As the day went on, they finished most of the work. The house looked stronger. The fence looked better. The farm looked safer. Ethan felt a sense of relief. He felt like they had done something important. But the feeling of danger did not disappear. Ethan could still feel it. He could still feel that someone might come. He could still feel that their quiet life was not safe anymore. In the afternoon, they heard a car in the distance. The sound of the engine made their hearts beat faster. They stopped working and listened. The car sounded like it was driving slowly, as if the driver was looking for something. Maya looked at Ethan. "Stay inside," she said. "Do not go outside." Ethan nodded. He felt his hands shake slightly. He walked into the house and waited. He could hear the car getting closer. He could hear the sound of the tires on the dirt road. Then the car stopped near the fence. Ethan could hear the engine running. He could hear someone stepping out of the car. He could hear footsteps. Ethan felt a rush of fear. He did not know who it was. He did not know if they were dangerous. He did not know if they were the people from the women's past. He looked at the door. He wanted to open it and see, but he also knew that might be dangerous. He stayed inside and waited. The footsteps stopped near the fence. Ethan could hear someone talking, but he could not understand the words. The voice sounded calm. It sounded like someone who was not in a hurry. It sounded like someone who knew what they were doing. Ethan felt his heart beat faster. He wanted to run. He wanted to hide. But he also wanted to protect the women. He wanted to be brave. He listened carefully. After a few minutes, he heard the car start again. The engine sounded like it was moving away. The footsteps disappeared. Ethan let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. He felt a strange mix of relief and fear. The person had left, but they had been close. They had been near the farm. He walked outside slowly. He looked around. He saw the car tracks near the fence. He saw the footprints. He realized that the person had been searching. They had been looking for something. Ethan walked back to the barn and told the women what he heard. They listened carefully. Maya looked serious. "They are still looking," she said. "We need to decide what to do." Ethan nodded. "We could leave," he said. "We could find another place." Maya shook her head. "We cannot run forever," she said. "We need to build a life. We need to stay." Lily spoke next. "We can stay," she said, "but we need to be smart. We need to make a plan." Nina nodded. "We need to be careful," she said. "We need to watch for anyone who comes." Sarah looked at Ethan. "We need to trust you," she said. "We need to know you will help us." Ethan felt a strong sense of responsibility. He looked at the women and said, "I will help you. I will stay. I will do whatever it takes to protect you." The women nodded. They looked at him with trust. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He realized that he was not just living here. He was part of their lives. He was part of their future. They decided to set up a system to watch the farm. They would take turns watching at night. They would also set up small signs to alert them if someone came. They would use lights and sounds to warn each other. They would also avoid going into town unless necessary. Ethan felt nervous about the plan, but he also felt determined. He knew that if they worked together, they could handle anything. That night, Ethan took the first shift. He sat near the window and watched the field. The moon was bright and the farm looked calm, but Ethan knew that calm could change quickly. He watched the road carefully, waiting for any sign of movement. Hours passed slowly. Ethan felt tired. He felt the weight of the responsibility. He felt the quiet of the night. Then he saw a shadow near the fence. He held his breath. The shadow moved slowly. Ethan could see a figure walking near the fence line. The person was moving carefully, like they did not want to be seen. Ethan felt his heart beat faster. He quietly woke Maya. She looked at him and nodded. She grabbed a flashlight and went outside with Ethan. They moved quietly, staying hidden behind the trees. They followed the figure carefully. The person walked toward the back of the farm. Ethan could see their face now. It was a man. He looked around as if he was searching. He had a calm expression, but Ethan could feel the danger. Maya and Ethan watched him from a distance. The man did not see them. He walked slowly, looking at the ground. He seemed to be searching for something. Then the man stopped. He looked up at the house. He stared for a moment as if he was trying to remember something. Ethan felt his heart beat faster. He wondered if the man had been here before. He wondered if the man knew the women. Maya whispered, "We should not confront him. We should watch." Ethan nodded. He felt scared, but he trusted Maya. He knew she was smart. He knew she was careful. They watched the man for a few more minutes. Then the man turned and walked away. He disappeared into the darkness. Ethan felt a wave of relief, but he also felt a new fear. The man had been close. He had seen the house. He had seen the farm. He had been searching. Ethan and Maya returned to the house. They told the women what they saw. The women listened carefully. They looked worried but also determined. Maya spoke. "We need to leave," she said. "Not forever, but for a little while. We need to go somewhere safe. We need to make sure the man is not following us." Ethan nodded. "Where will we go?" he asked. Maya looked at the women. "We will go to my friend's place," she said. "She lives in another town. She can help us." The women agreed. They packed their things quietly. They prepared to leave early in the morning. Ethan felt a sadness in his heart. He did not want to leave the farm. He had worked hard to build a life here. He had made friends. He had found a family. But he also knew that safety was more important. The next morning, they left the farm quietly. They drove away in a small car, leaving behind the house and the barn. Ethan looked back one last time. The farm looked peaceful, but he knew that peace was fragile. They drove for hours. The women were quiet. Ethan could see the worry in their faces. He tried to comfort them. He tried to make them feel safe. Finally, they arrived at a small town. Maya's friend welcomed them. She offered them food and a place to stay. The women looked relieved. They felt like they were safe for the first time in a long time. Ethan felt a sense of relief, too. He realized that they had survived. They had escaped danger. They had found a new place to rest. But Ethan also knew that the farm was still in his heart. He knew that he would return one day. He knew that the farm was not just a place. It was a symbol of hope. It was a symbol of a new life. Days passed, and the women began to relax. They talked, they laughed, and they started to feel like themselves again. Ethan helped them find small jobs in the town. He helped them plan for the future. He helped them feel like they could live a normal life. One evening, Maya took Ethan aside. She looked at him with a soft smile. "Thank you," she said. "You helped us when we needed it. You stayed with us. You did not run away." Ethan smiled back. "You helped me too," he said. "You gave me a new life." Maya nodded. "We are a family now," she said. "We will always be connected." Ethan felt a warmth in his heart. He realized that he had found something he had been looking for all along. He had found a place where he belonged. He had found people who cared about him. He had found a home. And even though the farm was far away, he knew that the lessons he learned there would stay with him forever. He knew that he would never forget the women, the work, the fear, and the hope. He knew that his life had changed. He knew that he was no longer the same person who had arrived at the abandoned farm. He was stronger. He was braver. He was ready for the future. And he knew that the future was not just about surviving. It was about living.